I tend to call it a rocker cover. I'm getting myself all tripped up with the right terminology at the moment because I'm putting myself out there in public and doing dumb stuff like stripping out what I've got going on there. So for the top here, you've got a 10mm socket. There's 3 bolts, one on this side and 2 on the other. Unsure if you're going to be able to see it with the camera, but I'll pick you up and move you around. So again, same deal, making sure that we're going the right way, which we are. Give it a loosen off, and then come around, loosen off the other 2. I hope everyone got a laugh out of me absolutely bonesing up then. So obviously the big deal with this is that you need to have the petrol tank off to start with. I didn't show you taking off the seat in the petrol tank because that's 3 bolts. It's two 12mm at the rear, underneath the seat, which you'll see, 2 12mm, correction 10mm, and then the one holding the strap on that goes over the tank is a 12, and the tank literally just sits on these 2 rubber grommets there after it's hooked in here with the strap at the top. That's it. I didn't want to insult your intelligence by showing you how to do that or anything. So yeah, let's go through removing these last couple of bolts. And I feel like a dumbass. It's going to be really curious to see if they fit back in or not. At the very best, they will, but I'll need to go and buy some new bolts because at least 3 of them won't be suitable to be used again. At the worst, Chris gets to go and buy himself a tap and die set and re-tap the holes, which could end up meaning that bigger bolts will go in and I'll have to drill that out in order for them to fit. Anyways, it's the 3 rocker cover bolts off. Socket and extension away. I tend to hold them in my hand or just put them somewhere convenient until I've got this off, and it literally just slides out of the way, easy as. I always have a look at the gasket, see if anything's screwing up on it. She looks in pretty good shape. A little bit of rubber pinching off there, which I'll clean up when we go to put it back together. Give me a little wipe down. Try and see if you can find any imperfections in it, which means that it might not be creating a proper seal across the top of the engine, and that looks as though it's going to be an issue, so I'll have to get out a Stanley knife to clean it up later, but the rest of it looks to be in pretty good shape. There doesn't seem to be any blowout lines or anything like that around the edge of it, where oil could have been seeping or pissing itself out or anything like that. So once we're done there, old habit, I just put the bolts back in so that again we know where we're looking for them when it comes time to put everything back together. And that's how you get into the valves. It looks complicated, but it's not. It's a really simple system. That is your exhaust and that's your inlet. I believe that's right. Again, someone will probably correct me if I'm wrong, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter for us at this point because they're going to be going to the same adjustment, which Michael B's sorted out for everyone, and that's using the feeler gauges and going to the on a metric system, going to 0.05 mil for both of them. So what I'll do is just stop here quickly, and I'll set myself up on the other side where we've got better access to use the feeler gauges while I drop another bit, which happens to be the fuel line clip. I'm having a win here, aren't I? Yeah, okay. I'll pause up, I'll find that and set up on the other side, hopefully with some decent viewing so you guys can actually see how I go about doing the adjustment. Yeah, so catch you in a sec. Okay, so we're back again. I've tried setting up as well as I could. If I could get a camera angle there, that'll be perfect. I've got nothing to hold it. So I'm back to the chair and trying to get you the best view that I can with it. So I'll end up picking you up and moving you around and all that sort of thing. So obviously we're now about to start doing the valve adjustments. Again, quick Google on the Skyteam page to go to the maintenance resource, that Google Doc that's there, which is a great little place for info so you can go and check what it is that you're looking at and measurements and that sort of stuff. To open up this space as well, I've taken off the spark plug cap and I've actually removed the holder that goes into the inlet for the carby there, just so we've got a little bit of space so that we can actually see what's going on in and around here. As I said before, I'm fairly sure that's the exhaust and that's the inlet. It doesn't matter though, because both of the measurements for your gap on your feeler gauge are going to be, which hopefully we'll see if we can see or not, 0.05 mil. In reading the resource, it did mention that the inlet is a firm 0.5 and the outlet is a loose 0.5. To be honest, I just set them so they've got both the same feeling. Now, bearing in mind on this bike as well, as I've explained previously, I've done the 150 conversion to it. I haven't actually looked to see if those should be different. I probably should, but again, this is me doing backyard stuff and trying to show people out there my way of doing it. Like I said, it's not the right way, but it's how I've been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve with it. Running it at the 0.05 mil, I haven't had any of the noises that you get from loose rockers, which we go for a wiggle now, they're not moving at all, which could indicate that we might be on the wrong compression stroke. But like I said, in riding the bike, I haven't had any rattle from it or anything like that, and I have been able to maintain an easy 100 km/h cruise, top speed of around the 120, and city riding at an excellent rate. Good go, good pick up off the lights, the front tyre wants to come up, so to me it's been working, so I don't want to fuck with something that's been working. So in order to do these adjustments here, pick you up and get you to have a look. So this is the top of your valve here, and this is your rocker arm going over here. As you can see on top, you've got a lock nut and an adjuster here, which is sort of squared off. I believe you can get proper valve adjuster tools. However, for myself, when I do it, I use a set of needle noses to make the adjustments on the valves themselves. Again, sorry about the lighting and my poor film skills, but yeah, this is me just having a crack. So I guess what I'll do first up is just with the feeler gauge, try and see if it'll slide in, which it doesn't make its way through the gap itself, so that could even be a little bit too tight for that one. And again, sorry for my crappy filming. It's interesting doing it with one hand, trying to get the feeler to go through the little gap. which you can sort of identify just there, even though that doesn't want to focus in. But it doesn't want to slide through at all. So I could actually be on the wrong stroke. So what I'll do is pop you down, try and rotate through the stroke again to see if we can get to the right spot. Whoa! Slippery little suckers. So back in with the 14, rotating anti-clockwise. As you can see, the rocker's moving there. We should be getting to the T in 1 second. There it is. So it lined up on the T there. And we'll try again with the feeler gauge. Whoop! Lucky it's a GoPro, eh? Dropping shit everywhere. I'll give these a rattle. They're not moving again. I'll try again with the feeler. Can't get through that. Just one more go. Yeah, it's not going through. And back down here. Doesn't want to go through at all. So that's one of the problems that you'll find. Having your valves too loose makes a lot of noise and you get a little bit of excessive wear on it, but that's about it. Having them too tight, from my understanding, can actually really do some damage to what you've got going on. So what I'll do, just ensuring there's no movement at all. No. So what I'll do is, using my 10mm, I think I said 8 earlier, but it's actually the 10. I'll crack these lock nuts and then go through the adjustment using the feeler gauge to hopefully get ourselves in the right spot. Sip of beer. So gently cracked. Gently cracked. So once they're cracked, they're actually really easy to move with your fingers. And what could happen, and has happened in the past when I've done it, is that when I've cinched them down, it's actually taken up all the pressure that was on it. But no, still no way that that's going through at all. Can't push it in. Nope. Okay, so feeler gauge isn't going through on inlet or outlet. So what I tend to do from here is, just with the needle noses, give it a 1/4 turn, go back in with the feeler gauge. Still not making its way through. Neighbours walking past with their little sausage dog. Give it another turn, 1/4 turn. You can see all of a sudden we've got a proper gap there. You might not be able to hear it. It's slightly rubbing, but not much at all. So we'll come back a little bit with it. And there you go, you can actually see the friction on it now. So I would call that one good to go. You want a bit of friction. So I'm happy with that. Now, I could have buggered all this up by being on the incorrect mark. However, I don't think so. But then that's what I said about taking those nuts off the Skyteam cover. So who knows where I'm at. So now that I've got that where I want, I just give that a little tighten down so it's sort of finger tight. The lock nut, that is. And then I come back and see if I can get the feeler through again, which I can, but as you can see, it's really firm. Really firm, probably way too firm for my liking. So finger loose it off again, and then have another go, and it's got that drag back on it. So from here, I'm going to need both of my hands, because essentially what we've got to do is keep this bit here with my shaky hands, keep that here straight with the needle noses while we lock this down with our 10mm. So I'm going to pop you down and have an attempt at tightening this without actually mucking up the setting that I've got. So I just drop that over the top and then come in to hold that, give it a cinch up, and then come back in. So it seems as though I may have buggered it up because that's too loose again. So come back on, give it a loosen off. And as you can tell, it's a bit of mucking around, but it's actually a really simple process. It's just trial and error, simple as that. So that's back on top. Give it a cinch up. Come back in with the feeler. Bit loose again. Give it a loosen. Before adjusting, and I'm again learning as I go here by trying to teach you guys. There we go. So I think, yeah, that's got the right sort of friction on it. I'm going to leave it in. Whoop. Or just drop everything. Bugger up again while I'm on film. Let's get him in there. Come on. Okay, he's in. Doesn't want to sit on anything. Okay, so that's obviously going to maintain the gap. I'm going to give it a little bit more of a cinch down, and we're going to see if that's tightened up. So the cinch has worked. We'll give it another little go. So that's on there nice and firm, and we've maintained our nice drag and firm fit of our gap. Now the fun bit is when I rotate it 180 degrees to figure out if we're actually on the right stroke or not and see how much play there is. But for now, we'll go ahead and adjust the other one. It'll turn out. Come back in. Too tight, won't even pull out. loosen it off. Too loose, little cinch up, too tight. Back it off again. There we go. See that in there? There you go. Nice and firm through there. So what we'll do is set the gauge back up on it. Boop. And we'll give it another tighten up. Cinched. Sorry if my hands are in the way. Come over the top with the needle noses. Tight. Probably a bit loose. So we'll just flip it over. Again, sorry about my hands being in the way. Cinch. A little bit of drag, I'd probably want just a touch more. Crack it again. Probably got way too much now. I don't know. Okay. So again, back on with the spanner. Little couple of degree turn, cinch up. And you can hear it in there. So currently happy with that. We'll just give it another little tickle, make sure it's tight. Boop. Boop. Okay, so they're both set on its current stroke at the 005. Nice and firm. Nice and firm. So what we'll do from here is really see if Chris has buggered it up or not. We're going to spin the engine anti-clockwise 360 degrees and see what sort of movement we've got out of both of those, and that'll be us figuring out whether or not we're on the right stroke. So, now let's sit. And there we go. So, let's see how much I've buggered this up. They look all right. Give them a rattle. Doesn't seem to be moving. Now, the ultimate test. They don't seem to be going through at all. So there is that's really tight, that's even tighter than it was before. So, thinking about it, there is the possibility that we did do it on the wrong stroke and that we're on the right stroke to start with, because that's got even less ability to get through than what we had initially. So, and this is where it comes into the frustrating bit, rinse and repeat. We'll adjust it on this one here to the same gap of 0.05 mil. Cinch them down, go back, rotate and see what sort of slot we've got again. So what I'll do is I'll just go through that, probably end up fast forwarding you guys in the video. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side of this attempted adjustment.
Your Ford dealer is open and ready to help your business get back to business with high-vis value, with the reliable Transit Custom 340S van with auto for only $46,190 drive away. And don't forget to check if your business is eligible for the government's instant asset write-off this financial year. So hurry into your participating Ford dealer now for high-vis value. Recommended price, instant asset write-off, see treasury.com.au, and seek professional advice, see Ford.com.au for details.
Going through. Now, given that these aren't even going through with a significant adjustment like that, there's the possibility that the piston is now at top dead center. Let's focus on one side first. Interesting. Shouldn't have to turn it this much. So, what I think that indicates, look, we'll just keep going. Interesting. What I'm going to do is have a bit of a pause, then a read, see what I've buggered up. So we could have been right to start with, and now I've just made some massive adjustments to it that I really didn't want to do, but hey, this is all part of it. Wipe down the camera because you're covered in oil. So, I'm going to have a quick read of the servicing document on Facebook and get back to you.